Nanalo ng Family Feud ng Team Aldeguer Sisters ng 200,000 pesos.
Family Feud, 5:40 p.m.
Welcome to my episode that is called
Nagmamano pa.
That's okay.
News brief at 3 p.m. today.
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump says he and China Xi Jinping have reached agreement on a wide range of trade issues. Trump hailed their meeting in South Korea as a great success and said deals were made on chips and rare earths and that tariffs would be coming down. Trump also announced bilateral visits next year. Donald Trump says he has ordered the U.S. Defense Department to resume testing of nuclear weapons. The move follows Russia's announcement of successful nuclear weapons tests. Trump also pointed out that China has doubled its nuclear arsenal in the past 5 years. The last known U.S. nuclear weapons test was in 1992. Hurricane Melissa has now reached the Bahamas as it continues its trail of death and destruction through the Caribbean. Authorities in Haiti and Cuba have reported deaths due to severe flooding caused by the hurricane. Meanwhile, people in Jamaica are taking stock after destructive winds and torrential rain pounded the country. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find more on our website, dw.com.
16 p.m. yesterday.
Hi, I'm Kim Vanel in Wanganui, New Zealand. It's Wednesday, October 29th. Today, President Trump lands in South Korea, his final stop on a high-stakes Asia tour. OpenAI makes a deal with Microsoft as it looks for cash to bring the next phase of its AI ambitions to life. And the far right makes its pitch to maintain power in the Netherlands. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week. Hurricane Melissa has made landfall in Cuba, along with warnings of life-threatening flooding on the island, prompting the evacuation of 750,000 people. Its path leaving a trail of destruction in Jamaica, the extent of which is only now becoming clear. Melissa made landfall there with winds topping 185 miles per hour, the strongest cyclone ever to hit the island. In St. Elizabeth, homes were left in pieces, with pylons strewn across roads, leaving more than 500,000 people without power. The hurricane has weakened slightly to a still very powerful Category 4 and is slow-moving, meaning more potential for damage. The U.S. National Hurricane Center is still warning that, quote, total structural failure is still likely in Melissa's path. Follow along on Reuters.com or the Reuters app for developments. US President Donald Trump has arrived in South Korea for the final stop of his Asia tour. He's set to meet with President Lee Jae-myung, with trade talks topping the agenda.
Our deal with the Republicans.
$1 billion in South Korean investments meant to keep those tariffs at bay have stalled. Just hours before Trump's arrival, North Korean state media says Pyongyang tested a nuclear-capable cruise missile. Trump has made repeated calls for a meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, but no word yet on whether that's something Kim is up for. Trump will, however, sit down with China's Xi Jinping on Thursday.
I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both.
To Gaza now, where a woman screams over the body of a loved one killed in new Israeli airstrikes. The hospital in Khan Yunis once more treating the injured, including children. It's yet another test of the fragile Gaza ceasefire brokered earlier this month by US President Trump. Israel hasn't commented on these specific strikes, but has accused Hamas of violating the ceasefire agreement. Hamas's armed wing, meanwhile, says it's delaying the handover of a recovered hostage's body as a result of Israeli attacks. The group is also warning any further escalation will hinder search efforts and slow the return of Israeli soldiers' remains. Microsoft and OpenAI have struck a new deal that clears the way for the ChatGPT maker to go public. It replaces their original 2019 agreement, which saw Microsoft invest in OpenAI in exchange for exclusive rights to provide its computing power and a right of first refusal on new AI services. As Reuters tech correspondent Deepa Sitaraman explains, the restructuring gives OpenAI freedom to pursue some ambitious plans.
At a fundamental level, OpenAI and Sam himself, they're talking about AI as a potential mechanism.
It's getting some attention. The buying, and in this case, selling of bonds, known as quantitative tightening. And as our Fed reporter Michael Derby explains, that strategy may be coming to an end.
When interest rates were near zero and the Fed still needed to provide stimulus to the economy, it did so by buying massive, like trillions of dollars in government and mortgage bonds. Most people think the Fed overdid it and bought too much and grew its holdings far too much. And so in 2022, as the Fed was getting into the business of raising rates to deal with rising inflation, the Fed also shifted into trying to get these bonds off of its books. And so what that process did was it took overall Fed holdings from a peak of $9 trillion, which was double where the Fed's balance sheet was before the COVID pandemic struck, and it's taken it down to about $6.6 trillion.
While this is a technical move by the Fed, it's not without controversy.
So the Fed's footprint in markets is very large. Many people, including the Treasury Secretary, believe that the Fed owning bonds in the way that they do distorts financial markets, and they would like the Fed to reduce its footprint as far as it can possibly go.
More than 60 people have died during police raids in Rio de Janeiro. The operation targeted a major gang just days before the United Nations Climate Summit, known as COP30, is set to begin in the country. Police say suspects used drones and grenades against the police. Rio's hosting climate-focused events alongside the Amazonian city of Belém, where COP30 will take place. Among the dead are 4 police officers. It's the deadliest police operation in Rio's history. Dutch voters head to the polls today in an election that could push the country further right again. Geert Wilders, the far-right leader, while Wilders is focusing on immigration with ideas like sending male Ukrainian refugees back and using the army to seal borders, his centrist rivals are focusing on more domestic issues. Reuters reporter Bart Meyer is in Amsterdam.
Dutch far-right leader Geert Wilders led the previous government after winning the election in 2023, but he quickly also toppled that government, which was dominated by his party, as he said it was not willing to follow his radical ideas to stop migration. All other parties have said they actually will rule out working with him again. But parties on all sides have tried to portray that they will not work with the other side, trying to win voters for their preferred coalition. So we would probably see parties first try to form government or center-right, but both might come up short to actually have a majority.
Our recommended read for today is one not really suited for a podcast due to it being ultra quiet, which in this case is the whole point. NASA has tested its experimental supersonic jet designed to break the sound barrier with little noise, paving the way for supersonic and therefore much faster commercial air travel. We'll put a link to that story in today's pod description. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favourite podcast player. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.
That's it for your news updates. To see more stories, open Google News.